So you've gone out and got that amazing shot, but come back in post and realize that it's actually a bit too shaky to use. But not to worry, warp stabilizer is there to save the day. And by the end of this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to have your image looking like this kind of shaky, lopsided piece of this piece of footage that almost looks like it was shot on a tripod. Before I get to the video though, please like, please subscribe, really helps me out a lot, and let's get into it. Now, warp stabilizer is built into pretty much every modern version of Premiere Pro, and every editing program has its own kind of version of warp stabilizer. But a word of caution with using any kind of warp stabilizer or post-editing stabilizer, even in something like Catalyst Browse, which is the Sony one, and it's meant to go on kind of metadata inside the camera. I feel like when you use this stuff and the image is a bit too shaky, you can get these weird kind of artifacts where sometimes, well, it almost looks like the picture is moving around on like a pivot, kind of gives it just not really a natural feel. So I'd be really cautious about how much you use this. And even sometimes with me, I would have quite a shaky piece of footage, but I would only use it by about and I'll show you in a bit what I mean by about like 10%, just to really take out a bit of those shakes, but not to overdo it. So all I've done here is drag my clip onto the timeline, and they've got a little adjustment layer with a little color grade on top, just to make it pop a little bit more. But as you can see, it's pretty shaky and a bit lopsided. The first thing I'm actually going to do with this clip is straighten it up. To do that, I'm just going to get my guides up, go to rotate up here, and then I'm just going to rotate that just to it. And then now because I've rotated it, I've got little borders on the side. So I'm just going to scale that in a little bit. So I'm going to go to the effects menu up top, and I'm going to type in warp stabilizer, and I'm going to drag that onto my clip. Now this is going to happen, it says you can't use warp stabilizer basically and speed on the clip, because the clip's actually slowed down. It was shot in 60 frames per second. I think I might have slowed it down by about 50%. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to nest the clip. So this is what you're going to have to do if you use slow motion or any kind of speed ramping or anything like that. You will have to nest the clip. So I'm just going to right click on the clip, click nest, and just type in warp nest for now. Just name it that. Now if I drag warp stabilizer back onto the clip, and it's going to start straight away, right? It's going to analyze the clip and start stabilizing it straight away. And as you can see here, I've got the default settings, which is, smoothness 50%, smooth motion here. And as you can see, it's taken out a bit of the shakes. But as mentioned before, really, if I was going to use smooth motion, I would normally just take out some of the shakes. You can really take this down to only even about 6%, and it should do the job pretty well still. If it's just a bit of like hand, shakes that you're trying to get rid of, going 50% is probably a bit excessive. So I'd really just try and use this as little as possible, not really overdoing it, because you don't want to get that kind of artificial feel on some of your clips. Obviously, if the clip is shaking all over the place and you have to use 50%, then what can you do? You have to use 50%, right? What you can look at here as well is the method. So you have position, scale rotation, perspective, and subspace warp. Obviously they get more and more intense from position, just kind of moving obviously the position. It might crop in a bit just to kind of stabilize, all the way to subspace warp, which is going to really, almost like I said before, can really like start bending and manipulating the image to kind of keep it steady. So sometimes if you feel like it's potentially just doing too much, you might want to just choose one of these settings that is going to take it down. So sometimes, like with this stuff, there's not really a rule of thumb. I can say like, oh, if the picture's doing this, then use this one. If the picture's doing that, because every shot's going to kind of be different, and sometimes you just might need different things for different shots. So sometimes just experiment and see what kind of works. I don't think that this clip is going to be that shaky enough to really tell a difference in any of these, to be honest. But we can just flick through them and see which one I kind of like. So there's not much in it, but I think that this clip wasn't shaking too much in the beginning anyway. But one thing I want to show you, which I used on this clip, is down in the result where it says smooth motion, click on that drop down menu and click no motion. This is almost like that tripod shot I was telling you about, to really create like the look there was shot on a tripod basically. So if you press play on this, you can see that it's really taken out any kind of motion, which is just absolutely incredible. And if your computer is powerful enough, you might want to use this drop down menu and click detailed analysis. And there you go. It's looking incredibly stable right now. I mean, I'm super happy with that. I was happy with that. I used that and sent it to the client. They were all happy with that. So there you go. That's warp stabilizer, something that can really help you out in those sticky situations. Thanks guys, please smash that like button, please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.